Welcome to this episode of the Lunduke Hour. This is the first episode of the Lunduke Hour coming to you live from Lunduke Labs. I am really super excited about this because I've been wanting to get a lab space put together for some time now. I don't know, for those of you who've been watching the show, you know that I record in what is basically a sound booth. It is a large walk-in closet that has been filled with sound foam and all that good stuff to basically make a little sound booth, and that's really nice. Except there's not a lot of space for workbenches and material and really doing a lot of the cool stuff that I want to be doing. And so from now on, this show records in Lunduke Labs, which I'm calling Studio Number 2. Studio 1 is being slowly decommissioned. We're going to be putting more soundproofing in Lunduke Labs here into Studio Number 2, if you will. A lot more equipment's coming in. You'll notice behind me is a workbench, and the workbench has a nice pegboard background. There's nothing on it. There's nothing on the pegboard because my little hooks and my little baskets are all on their way. They haven't yet arrived from Amazon. I think they arrive on Wednesday. So that's kind of how it is. And then behind the camera here, on the other side of the labs, is where a nice 3D printer from Lulzbot, a Lulzbot Mini, is going to go over there. And then off to this side, off to my left here, is what we're turning into basically a retro computing museum of sorts. It's not really a museum. It's a retro computing experience. I'm taking working hardware that I've been collecting over the years, old consoles, older computer systems, and giving them a permanent place to actually live, somewhere where I can actually sit down and use them. So hopefully we'll be able to film some stuff over there. A lot of the stuff that's going to be happening over here on the workbench side of things is where I'm going to be doing my projects. I'm building, see if you can see this here, a Pi Girl 2, which is basically taking a Raspberry Pi 2, using a 3D printed case that's somewhat similar to a Game Boy, original Game Boy, like the real Game Boys, the black and white, no backlit screen Game Boys, that amazing big chunky case, and basically turning it into a really powerful portable gaming system, an open gaming system, one that's modular. I can replace the batteries and the buttons and put in new versions of a Raspberry Pi or other small form factor single board style computers in the future, and that's really cool. I'm going to be doing a number of projects here along those lines. If you look off to my left, this big yellow beauty is computer space. Now, this computer space is actually a kind of an important one, and I'll be doing a video on my amazing computer space sometime soon. However, just to let you guys know what this is the first arcade video game ever made. It was made by Nolan Bushnell, the guy who went on to found Atari, and he made Computer Space under the company name of Syzygy in his daughter's bedroom. He put it together in there, and it's an amazing system. It's so old, it predates having sprites in storage. It predates having, I guess it doesn't predate code, but there is no code on it. It's hardware. The logic is all in hardware, and it's an incredibly cool game. The game is not much fun to play. I'm going to be fair and honest to you. I'm a big fan of it, but it's amazing because of its place in history. And this particular model, in fact, I was lucky enough to find it. We're not 100% certain, but it might be the first one off the assembly line, like the first actual one. There's no serial number on it, and we know that the first couple off the assembly line were solid yellow units. And most of those solid yellow units are accounted for. We know what serial numbers they are. The very first one is either this one or is another one that has had part of the serial number plate cut off, which I find suspicious. But anyway, either way, it's just a really cool machine, and it sits here next to my workbench to inspire me, because when Nolan Bushnell built this, video arcade games weren't really a thing they didn't really exist. And he sat down and he said, okay, using the parts I've got, using the things I can pull together, sitting in this little bedroom, what can I make? And he created something kind of amazing. And I don't have any grandiose vision that I am going to be a Nolan Bushnell, that I am going to go on to create something truly stellar that changes everything. But I want to apply that sort of, you know what, I'm going to take what I've got and make something great out of it mentality to everything that I'm doing here. So whether I'm building mostly from a kit from Adafruit, the little Pi Girl Raspberry Pi based handheld, or my next follow-on project, I'm going to be doing one with the Pocket chips, basically making a super pocket chip. Next Thing company, I've talked about it before, make this little tiny, I guess it's not this small, but it's really small, this little tiny board computer called the Chip, which is a $9 computer. It's got like half a gig of RAM on it. It's a really impressive little machine for $9. It's got Wi-Fi and everything. And they put it inside of a handheld case that has a keyboard and a touch screen and all that. And it's a very open and very hackable thing. And it does have some limitations, though, because it's a really inexpensive device. I'm going to be adding things like, good sound, because it doesn't actually come with a speaker. There's no speaker in it. So I'm going to add sound to it, a nice keyboard overlay to make it a little more usable, some GPS to make it a good mapping system, and basically turn it into the ultimate Linux-powered open modular PDA. And then the third project that I'm going to be working on that I still need to source a few parts for is a laptop computer. I'm going to be building my own briefcase laptop computer. I'm going to use an old leather briefcase, and I need to go around and do some hunts around it, like at thrift stores around here. So hit the Goodwills until I find a beat up old leather briefcase, and I'm just going to mod the heck out of it to put a mechanical keyboard in there, maybe a trackball, and put a Raspberry Pi, probably, I think will be what I use to power it, and then I'll have a briefcase that I go chink and pop it open, and I have a laptop. Ridiculous. Not amazing, not an amazing consumer experience, but something that I want, something that will bring me joy. And that's kind of what this here at Lunduke Labs is all about. Anyway, today on the show, I'm talking with the folks from the Halium and UBPorts project. And if you don't know what that is, they'll get into it in a little bit, but basically it is creating a path forward for Ubuntu Phone users to have their own software store and repositories and a maintained system going forward, as well as a base platform called Halium that then other Linux-based phone systems could then theoretically build their own distributions for phones and the like on top of. It's an interesting project. I talked to the folks about it, and I've got a lot of thoughts on it. Watch the chat, and then afterwards, stick around for a little bit. I've got some extra thoughts I'm gonna throw at you. Now, this particular chat, being the first one that's being recorded in Lunduke Labs, is weird. It is just bizarrely set up. So you'll see what I mean when the chat rolls. But literally, so just to give you guys an example of what's going to happen here. So going forward, when I do interviews, I'm going to be sitting not exactly here, but pretty close to here. And there will be a large screen right here. And that screen is still on the way. It's going to be arriving from Amazon along with my pegs and everything else over the next couple of days. And then the person I'm interviewing will be right here, hanging out next to me, and that way there's no green screens, no CGI'd split screen and the like. It's all just displayed here live. I've got all the audio hooked up properly right now, and that's fantastic. But we need to get the screen. So what I did, since I wanted to start recording down here, in part because the studio number one, the little sound booth, is just ripped apart. So it would be so much work for me to get it going again, is I took this little Chromebook that I've got Crouton installed on. And so I loaded that up and connected to the video chat with that. And I just cuddled up really close to the laptop. It's so ridiculous. So that you could see both me and the people that I'm talking to. Going forward, that'll look a little bit nicer. I can't help it. It was a weird thing. So probably tomorrow or the next day there'll be a nice big screen right here. Hopefully by tomorrow, because I've got a good show tomorrow. Anyway, this show is sponsored by both System 76 and Pogo Linux, and of course, viewers like you over at my Patreon page, patreon.com/Brian Lunduke. And I want to talk very briefly about System 76. System 76, I've talked a lot about their Galago Pro laptop because it's gorgeous, because it's all metal. It's just this aluminum space age, hard-edged beauty of a laptop. But the reality is they do some pretty killer desktops too. If you go over to system76.com, you can find a wide range of desktops. They've got little tiny desktops that cost very little money and take up just a few inches of desk space, little itty-bitty cubes that range all the way up to these just wildly performant, big, beastly towers that you can shove a bunch of GPUs in and just go to town. And what's great is they all ship with Linux. They all ship with Ubuntu, and everyone that I've ever tested performs wonderfully well with multiple Linux distributions, from Ubuntu to OpenSUSE to Debian and Arch. And that truly is excellent. The work that they do to make sure that their systems function well with Linux is just fantastic. So I've got to high five them. As go to system76.com to check it out. They really do make fantastic gear. All right. Now, let's talk to the folks from Halium and UBPorts. Gentlemen, my amazing friends from the Ubuntu Ports and general whatnot Ubuntu Phone community, please introduce yourself to the entire world.
Hello, my name is Marius Gipsgaard, and I'm the founder and creator of UBPorts. UBPorts was first set out to port to as many devices as possible, port Ubuntu Touch to as many devices as possible. And now it's more or less creating our own OS, I would say.
That's a pretty hardcore thing to do. And you are joined by this handsome gentleman. What was your name, sir?
I am Bhushan Shah. I work for KDE Plasma Mobile, and I am also working on Project Halium, which is a common Android base for the Linux mobile systems, which are for the phone. So currently, it was like previously, it was like everyone was doing on their own. Like they were handling Android parts like pretty much differently.
Yeah.
This project is about to make everything into one single code.
I like that. All right, let's come at this. Let's jump past all of the Ubuntu Phone drama-y stuff. Let's pretend like Ubuntu Phone didn't exist for a moment, right? Let's just get into what you guys are doing here. So, what makes this project to consolidate together and provide a good base for a good mobile platform different from the likes of Mamo and Migo and Moblin and every other random Linux-based platform that's been coming and going over the years that's going to accomplish the same thing? What makes this one different?
Right. Okay. So Halium is quite different in that way. It's only focused on the base of it, the binary blobs, as we call it, Android binary blobs. And it's mainly focusing solely on that and nothing else, just to make that rock solid, and then whatever can just jump on top of it. Mir can jump on top of it, for example, Plasma Mobile, or jump on top of it and just use the base. And then everyone, instead of, like right now, what we are doing is, for example, Sailfish is building their own kind of system, Ubuntu Touch is building their own kind of system, and then Plasma again are doing their own kind of system. So everything is kind of different.
Yeah.
But this is nothing. There is no other project like this. Like you mentioning Mir, but Mir is the whole stack, only the base level.
Just to be clear, for everyone listening at home, I don't want them to get confused. We're talking Mer, not Mir. So MER, the platform, not MIR, the display server that no one wants to use anymore. Right. Okay. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. What I mean with that is, for example, what Sailfish OS is using, they are using Mir, not Mir, but Mir, and that's more. That's not only what we are trying to do. What we are trying to do is just make a rock solid base that is just the Android binary blobs and just libhybrids, which is compatibility layers from Android binary blobs to Ubuntu or Sailfish or whatever.
Yeah.
Reason why we are doing this instead of just using open source drivers is that's I would say it's impossible to do that.
Interesting. So, all right. So if you're providing that base layer, right, that base platform that other people they can then come and build on and bring their package managers and everything else and layer it on top of it. How much work is that? I mean, realistically, when you guys are looking at that, is that something that you and the team currently can deliver in a reasonable amount of time? Like, how much work is there to do for you guys?
That really depends on the hardware. If you're talking about hardware like Nexus device, which is really open, it can go pretty quick. And Nexus, OnePlus, and those kind of devices, which are essentially mostly open source.
Yeah.
It's pretty, I would say, not easy, but it's faster than, for example, a Samsung device, which is terribly closed.
That's fair. So, but okay. So let's assume a very open device. Let's assume a Nexus or something along those lines, and you were targeting just one Nexus device. How much work is there remaining for you guys to get to a good functional state?
I would say the Nexus 5 as our developing device now, and stuff on it is starting to work out. For example, Ubuntu Touch already have the Nexus 5 fully working, so we can mostly just copy the work that we did there on Ubuntu Touch over to Halium, and it should run pretty well. But as I said, again, it's really dependent on the hardware and also how integrated the things already is, because Ubuntu Touch was made on Nexus device. So that will say that a Nexus device, most of it should really be to just compile it together with the source code from Google and just see if that works. If you're lucky, it works. If you're not, you will sit for hours and just look at.
Sure.
Yeah.
So clearly, you being from kind of also the UBPorts kind of side of things, you guys are kind of looking to this as the foundation for what up until now has been, the Ubuntu Phone / Ubuntu Touch, whatever we want to call it, Ubuntu on mobile devices platform. How realistic do you feel it is that in the next coming months or whatnot, you guys will have a platform that people can actually install and use that is currently up to date and maintained, and not the abandoned platform, but like something where you guys are really community maintaining it already, and that'll be installable and usable.
But if we're talking about Ubuntu Touch now, I would say that it's already installable. The UBPorts images are already out. People can try them out. But if you talk on the Halium side, I would say it's really hard to say also, but like in 1 month, maybe we have something that we actually can try out and people can download and try out, but also keep in mind that
a month out, we're not talking next year sometime.
It's not next year, no, not at all. Yeah, go ahead.
I would mention one thing, that Project Halium is basically not for the end users. For end users, Halium is a thing which doesn't exist at all.
Right.
For end users, what exists is a Ubuntu Touch, Plasma Mobile, or Shellfish OS, or Nemo Mobile, whatever that is. So for end user, Halium is a basically just simple like a kernel, or it's a basic. It's totally invisible to user.
It's the
So
hardware. It's the hardware controlling layer. It's everything that sits down there with the
yes,
drivers and the binary blobs and all the yucky bits that I don't want to have to deal with. I kind of got you on that one. I guess
yes,
what I'm looking ahead to is I like the idea of a core platform like that, or not even really a platform, but a core hardware support layer, if you want to call it that. That multiple mobile platform distributions can kind of utilize to kind of jumpstart their support for it. So if we move Ubuntu Touch off to the side for a minute, we just ignore its existence, and we just focus on the Halium side. How quickly is it possible to add support for additional phone devices, assuming that they're relatively easy ones to support? You know, the Nexus devices, the little more open devices. I with the understanding that, you know, the Samsung Galaxy S27 is probably a hard one to inherently support right out of the box. But how much work does it take? Like, how quickly can a turnaround be to add new device support to this?
I would say with non-stop working, in you could probably get it working within a week. It's not that hard to get stuff up and building and those kind of stuff. The issue that you might run into is when a binary blobs is complaining about something.
Yeah.
And that's when you come into the unknown area, as I would say, because you have no idea what this binary blobs is trying to do because it's closed source.
Yeah.
And you're just going through, scratching your head 1,000 times and just what this binary blobs is trying to do. And that is really, really hard to set a time frame on.
I gotcha.
Right. So I would say if everything goes smooth without any binary blobs complaining, I would say we'll have it within a week. But something like that would never
Right.
happen.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Things never go as they're planned. I totally get that. Do you guys have any hardware makers that have expressed interest in helping out, in supporting you guys in any way at this point?
Not yet.
not really.
No. That would be nice to see. I would love to see, whether it's an Acer or an HTC or whoever. I would love to see some support for projects like this, because I mean, it does make sense. What you guys doing does make sense. If there was a base platform to build, you know, Linux based systems on top of for mobile devices, that I get that. I would like to see, you know, actual support from the hardware makers. It seems like it would be in their best interest to do so. Have you reached out to any of them yet?
No.
You guys got to get on that, son. You got to start bang on those doors and say, "Hey, Samsung, HTC, listen up, yo. We got to get some support for our devices. We got to get our device kernel support on."
Well, I would say we first need to have a proof of concept before we go on and knocking on Samsung's door.
I gotcha. So what do you need to do to get to that proof of concept phase?
Right now we have some proof of concept. I know Vision have been working on some proof of concept.
Yeah.
But there's still some bits and pieces here and there that are still missing. So for us to get to that point, we are really close to get to that point. But we are not quite there.
How close is really close?
I think you can comment on this.
So on Saturday, I had working systemd and Android container booting.
Hey.
So, and also graphics stack was pretty much working, but most of the hardware parts like camera and sensors are still not working, and it's investigation on how to get them working. But otherwise, we had so far graphics working. I actually tweeted a picture of like graphics working.
Nice.
on Halium project Twitter page. Uh, Here it is.
So, but yeah, so you guys are making progress. So you guys are booting. You got graphics. There's just a few components left to figure out how to support. That's on the Nexus 5, right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's on Nexus.
Cool. Very cool. I would, yeah. It's always frustrating me. So I mean, I've been a mobile Linux user for a long time. Most of that time being in the Mamo Migo Moblin time frame, which was just one disaster and letdown and ball of sadness after another. And I just don't think I have it in me to go through another emotional roller coaster of despair of a Linux mobile platform dying. And so I love the idea of how you guys are abstracting it out, how there's, you got the Halium side of things that gives the hardware support, and you've got the UBPorts, the Ubuntu Touch over here that you guys will support, that'll exist on top of that, if I'm understanding it correctly. So that's great, in part because I can't stand Unity and it makes me want to stab my eyeballs with a toothpick. So I'd be going for a different route, but I love the idea that we can all come together and all pitch into the base platform to expand it to multiple devices. That's just absolutely fantastic way to go. How big is the team currently that's contributing?
Right now, me and Bushan are full-time worker that are going to work on both. He is going to work on KDE, and I'm working on UBPorts full-time.
Okay.
So that we say, and we also have, I would say, at least 10 developers. I don't really have the exact numbers.
Yeah,
but
it's a good start. I mean, how long have you guys been going? I mean, you guys just announced this, what, 2 months ago?
Something like that, yeah.
Something along those lines. Because, I mean, Ubuntu Touch hasn't been a dead platform for that long. And so, or sorry, I mean, I guess you guys are taking it over. What are you guys calling Ubuntu Touch now? Can you guys keep the same name? Do you need to call it something new because it's a canonical trademark? How's that going to work?
We don't really know that yet.
What do you mean you don't know?
To be honest, we really want to change the name. We want to get something our own.
Yeah, do it.
We are in process of doing that, but renaming everything takes a while.
Yeah.
So it isn't like you can't do it with a flip of a button. So you kind of have to do it with steps. So yes, we are in progress of changing the name, but they're going slowly.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so you got Halium. That's in progress. Work is progressing to get it fully functioning on a Nexus 5, and then from there, I suppose, do you guys have a list of devices? Like, you have a priority order of what devices you're going to try and support, like, first, sort of a thing?
What we will do is support the devices that we already support. For example, UBPorts support OnePlus One and Fairphone 2, and KDE Plasma support Nexus 5X.
Okay.
So I think we will go with those devices.
Okay. All right. That's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's the constant argument from people about Linux on top of mobile platforms is that it always lags behind significantly, and it makes sense why it does. But man, wouldn't it be great if we could get newer hardware? I mean, because the Nexus 5 came out in, I believe, 1962, and it's a nice piece of hardware for what it is, but it's hard to get people excited when you say, okay, you can run Linux on your mobile device, but not the mobile device you're currently using. You need to go on eBay and find a mobile device that it's hard to even find batteries for anymore, and then you're good to go. So that's a real challenge. That's a tough sell, especially I mean, because like the Nexus 5, right? Nexus 5, Nexus 6, great devices. there's nowhere near as many of those out there as there are, say, simply Samsung S3s. And an S3 in performance is really kind of similar to a Nexus 5. So I guess I'm kind of wondering how many people can even possibly use this. Like looking at this, I don't have any of the hardware that UBPorts currently supports. So if I'm looking at wanting to be tooling around with Halium, I'm kind of going to be waiting a while, or I'll need to get involved and port it over to a newer device. I guess which is my long-winded way of saying, please, for the love of God, find a newer device that you can support. I don't know what that is. I don't have any good advice for you. I just really, really want to see that so that I can propose it to people. It's just, you know what I'm saying? Like it's hard. It's hard to come by a Nexus 5 at this point. I mean, they've been end of lifed for years.
Right. Yeah, this is something we've been talking about for a while in the UBPorts community.
Yeah.
We have been stumbling around on the Samsung Galaxy S8 because it have HDMI out, so we can connect to a monitor and have the full desktop experience as we want. Is we still our Android source code that works with our code is still Android 5.1.
Oh, I gotcha. That is rough. I mean, that is a challenge. Oh man, is there any? There's got to be a way.
Right, and that's where Halium steps in, because when all the forces join together to do something together, we can get things quicker and we can get more of them. So that's kind of also the goal of Halium, to join all these different mobile platform to join together on the common thing, which is the Pirates and the Android part.
Yeah.
To port that, and when for example KDE Plasma ports to the newest Samsung, it works automatically on Ubuntu Touch and Selfish OS, and that's what we are trying to do. We're essentially trying to mimic the desktop side of things, where you have so many different spins on the same kernel.
I get you. I get what you're saying. I do. Okay. All right. Just to pivot for a moment, looking more at the Ubuntu Touch side of things. So since, let's see, Ubuntu Touch's store is winding down. Is it this month or next month? Next month. Next month is the wind down of the store, and then the store will be completely offline. Repositories, everything offline before the end of the year. So with that in mind, I'm assuming you've got replacements for all of that kind of lined up and ready to rock, or will be?
Right. About the store, it's not true that it will shut down in 1 month. It will actually shut down the end of this year. It will still be kept up the end of this year.
So in a couple weeks' time, it makes it so you can't update any applications. All the paid software is pulled from the store, things like that.
Right.
And then it'll be just completely offline a couple months later.
Right. Yeah, we are already set up our own store. We are using the Open Store now as our main store. We also replaced the servers are now all on our infrastructure. We have our own build servers, our own update servers. So everything is covered and it's ready for when Canonical pulls the plug, really.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good news for people. Is that a fairly straightforward drop-in replacement for the services that Canonical is providing? Like, if someone's currently using the last version of Ubuntu Touch that got released, can they just move forward with your drop-in replacements?
Yes.
Awesome.
Definitely. Yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool. I mean, I don't use Ubuntu Touch because, again, Unity makes head hurts. It hurts all over. My soul causes pain. But I like knowing that people have somewhere to go. That they have a home, and that's really cool. So where can people go get all of that right now?
The best thing would be to go to a website, Ubuntu UBPorts.com, or join our Telegram groups, since every Ubuntu community is all run on Telegram these days. And we also have IRC, which is hash Ubuntu UBPorts, and everything there should be documented on how to update. This image is out. That's on legacy. We're also working on some more smoother translation, a smoother way to upgrade for the non-tech savvy user, where you can just
That's good.
press one button and you are over to UBPorts. That's our essential goal.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I got to ask you. I got to ask this. What is your phone right now? What are you using as your daily phone? Is it Android? It's Android, isn't it? It is.
Well,
It totally is.
it
I got you.
yes, it totally is. Yes.
Oh,
But-
my friend. Would you think? Do you
but-
think it's close?
I'm going with this at the side. I'm using both of them.
Okay,
but
that's fair.
because I'm missing that social kind of teenager app, Snapchat, and I'm missing that. I'm just must
Yeah.
have it,
Must have.
and
it.
that's the issue. It's
I
must have.
get you. I get you. You need your Snapchats. You gotta get your Snurp chatting on, and otherwise you're not happy. I understand. That's a real thing. Do you?
But outside that,
But okay.
I would totally switch. Yeah.
I mean, the odds of Snapchat coming to Ubuntu Touch are pretty much zero. So, will you ever switch? Because you're not going to get Snapchat
well,
unless you get like 1 billion users. You're not going to get Snapchat. You're not going to convince them to port it. You're not going to convince them to license it to someone to port. So, what are you going to do?
I won't get it like that, but with a project called Unbox, I will get it.
Oh, I see. So you can run Android on Ubuntu Touch.
Right.
Okay. Now see that starts to make some sense to me. How mature do you feel like that is, and do you feel like that's something that's going to arrive in the relatively recent future, or is that just still pretty pie in the sky?
Well, I have been working pretty hard on it before Canonical drops the big news. I was really actively working on it, and Android apps does boot and everything, but it still has some networks issue and those kind of small performance issue that I need to squish out.
Sure. I love squishing things. That makes sense to me.
Yes, but most of it is it's just that I haven't resources to do it yet, and the time. It's just been so much after the Canonical dropped the news. So
Right.
when things start to settle down, I will definitely start working on it again, so I can get my Snapchat and switch over.
You need your Snapchat, man. I get it.
I need my Snapchat.
You need your Snapchat. Otherwise, it's just not happy.
Yeah.
Oh my man. I feel for you, dude. Like, because this has been a tumultuous couple of months, I am sure, for you guys. And I'm proud of you for weathering the storm and coming up with a plan to keep your platform going forward. Could you do me a favor? When you guys get Halium rocking on a system with Ubuntu Touch on top of it, and it's working and everything like that, I would love to have you guys back on the show to showcase it, show us it working, do a little video demo just to prove to the world that you guys managed to pull this off. Because I think a lot of people are looking at you with, hey, if that works, that's cool, but I'm skeptical. So I would love it if you came back on when you got it working. Can we do that?
Yeah, we can do that.
Awesome. Well, man, that's all I got. I just want to see this work. Go stop talking to me. Go code, because you guys need to get this functional now. And get the Android app thing working so you can get your damn Snapchats. Otherwise, you can't Snapchats with people, man. It's just terribly sad. My man, go. Stop talking to me, man. I'm serious. Hang up. You've got lots of work to do. Click the hang up button right now. Right now, look down there. Click the hang up button. Don't laugh.
I won't touch anything yet.
Hang it up. Hang it up right now. You've got work to do. Both of you guys, both of you kiddos, go make this phone work. Click. Boom.
Well, if you promise me to try out Unity
Oh,
for a
that
whole
ain't
year,
happening, son.
for a whole year.
No way. I tried out Unity for like 30 days and it kind of made my whole life sad. Like internally, my organs started shutting down. I don't even think I have a pancreas anymore. It was a rough go. So that just ain't happening. But if you can get Halium up and rocking, I will slap some Mare on top of that and I don't know, run Gnome Shell or KDE or something. Then I'll be fine. And we can enjoy the common fruits of that underlying system that you guys are pulling together. That'll be our common ground.
Well, have you tried Unity 8? Just a question.
Yes, I have tried Unity 8. You're not going to sell me on Unity, man. It ain't happening. Stronger men than all three of us combined have tried to convince me of the powers of Unity, and it just has not worked. I figure if Mark Shuttleworth, John O'Bacon, Stuart Langridge, and all of them can't convince me about Unity's power, it's done. Sorry, guys. But I like what you're doing with Halium. So seriously, hang up. Go work on it more.
Yeah, I will. But it's pretty late here in Norway, so.
No sleep. You need to make Halium work. I need to see it. Chop chop, man. Now hang up. Go work. You think I'm joking? Hang up and go work. Both of you guys right now. Hang up and go work.
Okay.
Do it.
Goodbye.
Good. Go. Work.
Goodbye.
You have stuff to do.
Bye.
Good. That delightful interview was brought to you in part by the folks at PogoLinux.com. Pogo Linux has awesome servers. I don't even know how to describe their servers except to say they're awesome. If you go to PogoLinux.com and you start browsing through their categorized server pages, you've got storage servers, you've got big, giant, huge, clustery servers with ridiculous numbers of cores. It is just stellar, and their configuration options are just absolutely off the charts. And what's more impressive to me is you actually get to choose what Linux distribution you want your server to ship with by default. Nice little drop-down box. Boom, you just simply select, I want Scientific Linux, I want Red Hat Linux, I want OpenSUSE. You have so many options. It is just phenomenal. And these guys, if you know everything. When it comes to this sort of stuff, this is what they do. So if you've got questions about your storage, about your computing clusters, whatever it is, the Pogo Linux guys can probably help guide you in the right direction. So if you go over to PogoLinux.com and you can talk to them about all that good stuff, I am confident they can help you out. All right. Now this interview was interesting to me. These guys are clearly taking on a huge project, something big. And part of me wants to look at that and say, you guys are going to fail. You guys are just going to fall flat on your face and fail with this. But on the other hand, nothing amazing is ever done by not taking chances, by not shooting for the moon. And they kind of are shooting for the moon. They're trying to produce not two completely different things. A path forward for Ubuntu Touch users, which is a big thing all by itself. At least for the few Ubuntu Touch users there are. That's a big thing. But they're also trying to provide that unified base platform that is in part derived from Android, which is what Ubuntu Touch currently uses as its base, and will make it easier for other distributions to come along and bring in their user land, their packages, their display servers, everything, and put it on top of this Halium project to get it instantly bootstrapped and up and running on just a ton of different hardware, assuming they get to the point where they can support that hardware. That's awesome. That is really awesome. I applaud them. I absolutely do. I hope everything works out well for them. I hope this is hugely successful. I hope they get all the help they need to make it happen. If they don't, I hate to say that I won't be surprised, but I won't be surprised. So many companies have tried exactly what they're doing and failed so spectacularly with such massive resources. So many communities have tried to form together to push this forward. In fact, I even believe that there's a currently existing Linux Foundation project kind of along these lines, which is to say that there's projects like this everywhere. It's like you're walking around the post-apocalyptic world that's been ravaged by zombies and there's bodies everywhere, except it's just projects to get Linux up and running on various cell phones everywhere, and they're dead and decomposing. And that makes me sad. Will this one succeed? I don't know, but I hope they do. So go check them out. See if maybe that you can help out. See if you can give them pointers. Maybe help spread the word about what they're doing. Who knows? Maybe they'll take off. But I like that they're giving it a try. Excuse me. I like that they're trying, and I like that they're giving it their best shot. So awesome. Now, the rest of the week is looking pretty exciting here on the Lunduke Hour. Tomorrow, I'm going to be talking to one of the main guys behind Arca OS, I believe, which is a new version of Ubuntu, or not Ubuntu, sorry, a new version of OS2, a new OS2 based system. It's sort of like an OS2 distribution. It's very interesting. I've got an ISO for it. I'm going to be trying it out tonight and really kicking the tires on this thing, because a new version of Ubuntu I keep saying Ubuntu, a new version of OS2 in 2017 is very, very intriguing, very interesting, very weird, but also very cool. I used to be an OS2 user, so I think this is really neat. So I'm going to be checking that out. That's coming on tomorrow. So come back tomorrow, hang out with me here. Hopefully there will be a screen right here, so you won't have to watch me cuddled up to a laptop, like nuzzling with it in order to interview someone. I'm pretty confident it will all arrive in time. And I need to get the lights dialed in a little better here. I don't know if you can't see them. Of course you can't see them. I'll show you. I'll if you follow me on Twitter at Brian Lunduke or somewhere else, I'll post some pictures of the lights and everything. I've got these barn door style movie studio lights. I've got two of them here, and they're set up so suboptimally. I have no idea what I'm doing. I truly don't. But I just got them set up yesterday and started kind of figuring out how I like them set. And I've got some friends that are helping me out to make sure I get all the lighting and all the sound dialed in for the new studio, so everything looks as good as possible. And crazy side note, this will be the first episode of the Lunduke Hour that's in full 1080p, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's a big step up. I'm not recording on, Open Broadcasting Studio directly anymore. I'm just recording straight into the camera, and then I edit afterwards. Though I'm making the show such that there's very few edits I have to make. Don't worry. I will retain my ultimate laziness. I am a lazy man, and I am not about to work terribly hard, if you know what I'm saying. But this is very cool. Hopefully this turned out well. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you think of, the new digs, besides the fact that I'm nuzzled up to a laptop. I know that's going away. That was just a placeholder. But let me know what you think of the rest of it. Let me know what you think of the sound, particularly now. During the interview, the sound was a little strange on their side, but that happens when we're interviewing folks. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you like the way it sounds. Let me know if there's any changes you'd like to see made, because hey, this show is for you guys. And when I say guys, I mean mostly guys, because as I've said before, 98% of you are male according to YouTube. Though a lot of ladies have come up to me at conferences to point out that they watch this show with their husbands, under their husband's account. Like they'll sign in on YouTube and watch it like on their Chromecast or something like that, which is cool. Which means, hey ladies, I know you're not part of that 2% if you're in that category, but thank you for watching anyway. Anyway, that's all we got for today, and I will talk to you guys all tomorrow.